Hello, I'm David Chappell, and I'm Country Director UK for MIDOCO Group. I'm delighted to be presenting to you today. I'm just sorry that I'm not able to do it live or in person, as unfortunately I'm traveling in the US. So you're going to have to make do with a virtual me today. I'm going to talk a little bit about MIDOCO, what it is and what we do, and how we work with cutting edge technologies like Ratehawk to help agencies produce and use systems that make them more flexible, more capable, and ultimately more profitable. So to do that, let's have a look at the inside of a TMC. So here we are, inside an agency. Back in the beginning, there was the GDS, and the GDS was pretty much the source of everything. When I was an agent back in 2000, you got everything through the GDS, flights, cars, hotels, all of it. And even today, after the changes in the market and the disaggregation, this still remains the primary point of connection for many agencies to get bookings from their booking platforms and into their mid and back office systems. But that isn't the world that we live in anymore. There are many different places to get content. NDC is a great example of where what was previously nicely, neatly aggregated content that lived inside the GDS is now available through another place. And many agencies have to place this back up into the GDS to be able to invoice it. In fact, there's many places that you can get content outside of the GDS. Another one would be online. So booking tools like Atris or KDS or Concur, many places where customers of agencies can go to actually make bookings. This doesn't have to go through the GDS. And again, many agencies choose to push it up into that environment because that's the only way that they're able to feed their systems. But these systems, communicating internally and openly with APIs to get content into their platforms, are quite capable of connecting in other ways. There are many other verticals too, of course. Rail providers in the UK, for example, Evolvi and Trainline, Deutsche Bahn in Germany, and SNCF in France, a number of rail providers that we connect to. Hotels as well, a great example of a vertical where we have many different connections. So maybe let's look at that in a bit more detail. Hello. So yes, hotels, lots of places that you can buy from. And in fact, what we look to do is to work with top tier aggregators like Ratehawk, for example, who are able to pull in information and to display it in a single place from many sources of content. And I know that you guys don't just produce hotels or make hotels available for booking, but you've got flights and all sorts of other cool stuff happening at the front end. But it's a good example of where when we're looking to connect with partners, we're looking for people who are able to be that top tier aggregator, who are able to get lots of content, to make things easy for their customers to make bookings, and then to connect with us directly. In doing that, what we're able to do is to start to deleverage the GDS in terms of its connectivity and the ability to be able to pass information into mid and back offices. So working with platforms like yourselves enables us to give agencies the kind of architecture that's fit for the 21st century. And then, of course, we've got web services. To be fair, most of these connections actually up here are talking to us across our web services. But for MIDOCO, we're API first, so everything that we do is available through this pipe. And any new provider that we look to connect with, ideally they're going to connect with us through web services. We can, of course, consume any file content, be that JSON or XML or a flat file to populate our platform. But really, this is where the real magic happens. Feed us information directly, we can populate the platform richly and give agencies the kinds of workflows and automated tasks that make them much more efficient. We also connect to profile providers, and profile providers are really important because platforms like Umbrella, our sister company, enable agencies to manage their data in a really efficient way. So let's look at that in a bit more detail. So Umbrella, for example, capable of connecting out into multiple different environments in terms of traveler profile. What we do here is we store the profile centrally. So a customer could feed us directly from their HR system. We receive those create, amend, and delete requests. We create those profiles then in multiple different systems based on what the agency needs, who has that customer. And then when those customers make changes in any of those systems, and be that Ratehawk or be it the GDS or be it in Atris or whatever, that change is passed to us, and we then synchronize that change back out again. So in effect, what you end up with is multiple synchronized copies of the same thing. This, by the way, is my colleague's worst nightmare, to have 7 of me rather than just one. So, but I think the idea of being neatly synchronized is a beautiful thing when it comes to data, because actually what you want is to have this same capability in all places. It makes a beautiful data triangle, because what we can do is we can pass that information up into the booking tool, into Ratehawk, for example. You will store that profile, and when that profile is made for booking, it's passed over to us as part of the booking message. We also connect to MIDOCO. So in telling MIDOCO that customer is created and that there are travelers, when the booking is made, we're ready to receive that information. So keeping the world beautifully in synchronous. This, of course, is only half the story, because what we've actually got here are just the front ends in terms of information coming into the platform. Really, there's a whole other side to an agency. And if we look at that, it could be considered as the outbound information. Part of MIDOCO's task is to create accounting entries so that we can pass them out into systems like SAP and Sage, where customers will ultimately calculate their bottom line. We also connect to data analytics tools like Travelogix, for example, allowing our customers to give their customers rich and tidy and neat and clean and exciting reporting environments that will give them information about their spend. We can also connect to data warehouses. Now, they may well be proprietary to the agency, because if they've spent money on building their own tech or doing something cool, they will typically have a data warehouse that will support that. And in changing systems to MIDOCO, you obviously don't want to throw that away. So we can support this existing technology by connecting to it and maintaining the intellectual property of the agency. We do a number of other important things too. One of them is duty of care. If you look at an agency, one of the reasons that they remain in the GDS more than anything is because there's three main pieces. There's sort of validation, the quality control. There's duty of care, feeding off a queue, and typically documentation. Um, those things keep people GDS centric. Well, at MIDOCO, we're able to connect to providers like ISOS directly, so that when you take content from all those different sources from the other side, we're able to feed it directly, which means you don't have to populate the GDS. We also connect to payment providers. This is really important. So, for example, if someone makes a booking at the front end and payment is taken at the front end, so let's say it's a leisure booking portal, then you can pass us the information on our APIs, and we'll store that ready to then be reconciled when the merchant gives the payment back to the agent. In the same way that if you passed us unauthorized card information, so just gave us a credit card number, we can also authorize that on our gateways and then store that information too. We also enrich data. We use the Tamara handle files with AirPlus. We also talk with First Data to pass Tier 4 data onto credit card statements. So it's a very nice, seamless environment when it comes to money. And of course, there's web services on this side too. And actually, to be fair, it's the same set of web services, but we put it on both sides of the diagram, really to demonstrate that not only can you put information in, but you can get information out on web service. And then, of course, the last hook, which is documentation. We're able to produce aggregated itineraries from all of the different sources as they come in, so that you can have a single document for, I don't know, a trip that's got a flight in the GDS, an NDC flight. You might have a train through Evolvi, and I don't know, a hotel or book through Ratehawk, for example. All of that can be shown on a single aggregated itinerary, which for many agents is still a difficult thing to achieve. And of course, we produce invoices, and we do all of this automatically based on the flows that are defined inside of our customers. So if we look at this in general, what we have here are the inbound interfaces coming in. This is information coming post-booking into us. We then have all of the outbound interfaces that are fed by MIDOCO that sits in the middle here. Now, MIDOCO, mid-office company, MIDOCO, we are truly mid-office. We have a number of modules inside of our platform. We can handle multiple currencies. We obviously have reporting, including account reports, so that you can produce the accounting feeds to go out into SAP, Sage, and so on. We have a very comprehensive fees engine, which is logic orientated. Essentially, it looks at the data packet that we receive off any one of these interfaces. It says if data packet A contains data point B, we're going to generate fee Y. And it's very sophisticated, definitely industry leading, and a way of being very, very precise on the way that you generate money inside of the agency. This is one of our core returns on investment, if you like. MIDOCO as a platform, we do obviously we do cost money. We're not free. So when you're talking to agencies, and we're talking to agencies about the many things that we do outside of pure efficiency, then generating fees and being able to be consistent with the way that you generate fees is a big part of what we do for a lot of agencies. We have a CRM internally. Now, this typically is for storing the customer settings, but because it's connected out into the profile tools and umbrella, it allows us to have all of the information for the customers available for when the booking messages are received across the interfaces. Obviously, we have what we call the order module. This is the receiving place for all of the booking messages coming in to our platform. And then we have the task list. Task list is probably one of the most important parts of our platform, and it allows us to create workflows depending upon what happens and what we see in the booking messages. So, for example, if someone sends us a booking message through the GDS and it's missing a cost center, we can create a task for that. Equally, we can also create tasks based on the content inside of the platform. So, for example, we could look across our platform and see, have we got a hotel starting today? Okay, well then maybe if it's defined in the CRM that that customer is a VIP, perhaps we want to create a task for the agent that owns that particular order to reconfirm that hotel. There's lots of different things that we can do. And the beautiful thing about MIDOCO is that we can do it in an automated and efficient way. So that's information coming in from the interfaces here, processed by MIDOCO, whether it's multi-currency or fees, or whether it's a task that we need to create, or indeed simply authorizing a credit card, sending an invoice, and also sending out a piece of documentation to the traveler at the same time. So MIDOCO, we are a mid-office. Automation is our watchword, and we are sitting right in the middle of systems. After the booking messages, but before the outbounds, right in the middle. Mid-office, MIDOCO. Thanks very much.